Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another video. In the video that I uploaded yesterday, I mentioned that I received two packages in the mail while I was attempting to do that video. One, a smallish package that I received from somebody here in the US, and the other, a rather large and heavy package that I had received from Japan. So I thought in this video I'd go over what I received. Now, as for the small package, I opened it up and immediately brain fade. That's a term I coined at the third television station I worked for. We used satellite systems that operated on two different bands. C-band, which are those enormous dishes, huge dishes. The only problem C-band has is that it's susceptible to sunspot interference, but that's rare. Weather does not affect C-band. KU-band, the dishes are a lot smaller. If you've got Dish Network, for example, it operates on the KU band. Now, on your receiver that you would have in your home, if the signal starts to go weak, for whatever reason, it just disappears. Loss of signal. But in broadcasting, the receivers are such that that doesn't happen. Gradually, the picture will begin to fade, and you'll get what looks like horizontal rain in the video. Rain fade is what we called it. Well, whenever a piece of information that I had in my head would just fly out of my head, and I would be, I coined the term brain fade. Well, get to this. This is a game for the Sega Master System. It's a really hard game to come by. I had done a video on some PAL games that I had recently received. And a friend of mine here on YouTube, Larry Bundy Jr., aka Guru Larry, aka the YouTuber formerly known as Screw Attack Europe, he left a comment in that video stating that there was a really rare game that he was looking for the Master System, and would I keep an eye out for it. Well, we exchanged some PMs back and forth and found that this game was never released in the US on the Master System. It was on the NES, and it was on the SNES, and it was on the Genesis, but not on the Master System. In the UK, it was released on the Master System, barely. Now, he mentioned to me that it routinely goes for triple-digit figures. I did a search, a saved search on eBay. I have about 12 of those going. These are searches that I receive an updated email every day on the status of that search. If there is anything that has come up for auction or for buy it now on eBay that falls within that parameter. And over a period of a couple of months, this game never showed up on eBay. Now, a subscriber of mine who decided to get out of the Master System collecting arena contacted me, and he told me he had a copy of the game. Would I be interested in buying it? And if so, make him an offer. Well, first thing I did was contact Larry Bundy Jr. and told him that somebody had offered it to me, and I know he had called the first one, and he said, well, don't worry about it, he had since secured a copy. So that was a weight off of my shoulders, because that meant I was free to buy this copy. He told me that without manual, this game, a reasonable price would be around $40. So I contacted the seller, Balloon Fight, and offered him $40 for the game, and he said, sure. So here it is. RoboCop 3. – 1st time on Master System. Now you'll notice the Flying Edge logo there where my finger is. Flying Edge was at the time a fully owned and operated subsidiary label of Acclaim. As Acclaim no longer exists, I doubt very seriously that Flying Edge still exists, but I might be wrong. Maybe somebody out there knows. The case is in really nice shape, complete with Wee Little Winky. No manual, but as I mentioned, the seller had told me I didn't have the manual. Okay, on to the second package. There's no way I can show it because I've already got it hooked up to my system, and I wanted to test it out, and it works perfectly. And the 3 discs that I bought to go with it run perfectly. Now, the format, somebody guessed in the video I did yesterday correctly that it is a VHD video disc player. It's a format that was only released in Japan. It is a capacitance disc system superficially like RCA's. CED, Capacitance Electronic Disc. That was the name of the format. Now, these discs have grooves. VHD discs don't. These discs wear out over time, and from what I understand, VHD discs don't. Skipping is a real problem with the CED format. That's why some people derogatorily refer to it as needle vision, because it has a stylus with a microscopically thin needle on the end that's very strong, but a needle nonetheless. So you got this needle trying to track inside grooves, which of course anybody who collects vinyl records knows where that can lead. This format, as I said, doesn't have grooves, so the stylus doesn't have a needle on it. And the stylus on a CED ends with that tiny little needle. Stylus on a VHD player is flat, and it covers a lot more area of the disc. Therefore, you can do things with VHD that you can't do with CED. A lot of interactive things. Also, the VHD format is 3D compatible. Some players have 3D mode, some don't. The player I got has 3D mode. Now, the seller, I'm going to put a link to the video that he did showing this exact player that I bought down there. As soon as I saw him demonstrating this player, I gotta have that. I have to have that. The video he did, he showed it with the case off, so you could see the innards on the inside. When you put in a CED caddy into the front of the player, it pulls the disc caddy all the way in, takes the disc, and then it spits out the caddy, and it keeps the disc. With VHD, you barely touch the end of the caddy to the slot on the front, and that's all you have to do, and it pulls out the disc, and then the lights stop flashing. You know the disc is in there, and you can pull away the caddy. I also bought from him the 3D headgear that was optional. Now, the 3D headgear that he had boxed, I bought it from him. He's shipping that separately in a different container and with a spare stylus, which he threw in for nothing. Now, I also bought from him 3 VHD discs. He had more, but these were the 3 I picked. Now, I'm only going to show one because I'm going to show the others when I show the VHD discs that I have since ordered from Japan, and they should be here pretty soon. When I went to the Laserdisc database, which is how really I came to know this guy, the seller, because he is a member on the Laserdisc database. And the Laserdisc database tracks, in addition to Laserdiscs and HD DVD discs and digital VHS tapes and CED discs, it also tracks VHD discs. And there were 1,132 titles listed. Not bad for a format that was only released in Japan. But this title wasn't in there at all. It is now because I added it. But I just thought it was cool. One of the first VHD discs I get, and that's not even in the database. The Fangoria Video Magazine, Volume 1. This is in English with Japanese subtitles. Now, one thing you may notice is that they're chapter encoded, just like a Laserdisc. The seller didn't have the remote any longer, even though if you watch the video, he shows the remote. That's because he had sold the remote to somebody else before I had said that I was interested in buying the player. But he's going to keep an eye open for another remote. Now, one thing that's different is the artwork on a CED disc is printed directly on a label that's affixed directly to the caddy. The artwork on a VHD release is on a sleeve that goes over or around the caddy. Pull out the caddy. Continuing on with a practice that Japanese publishers did with Laserdisc, they would include inserts, especially with anime. And yes, there was anime released in this format. There is an insert that came with this. I know I mentioned that I don't have a remote for the player, but I think I forgot to mention that the player has on the front a numeric keypad. So you could either step through the chapters, or you could just enter in directly the chapter number you want and it goes right to it. Now, I was surprised at the quality of the picture. After many years of experience with CED, this picture was clean, no skipping. The other two were clean, no skipping. And from what has been mentioned at the forums at the Laserdisc database, there are areas devoted to Laserdiscs and to CEDs and to digital VHS and to VHD. If you come across a defective disc, it was defective the day it left the factory. So the chances of coming across one are slim. If it's not defective when you obtain it, then it's going to stay that way. So it's a great format to collect. Now, I've noticed at the Laserdisc database that they list a lot of 3D movies on there, which of course the player has 3D mode. I did not buy a JVC or a Victor brand player, even though JVC was the company that invented the format. I bought a National. And the reason I bought a National is because the seller told me that he didn't have a whole lot of luck when shipping people players made by JVC. They work fine in Japan, and then they get shipped to wherever they're going, and they no longer work. Whereas with the Nationals, he hasn't had that problem. And in fact, I plugged this sucker in, I hooked it up, works beautifully. So, it's got a stink a link down there to the video I originally saw that made me say, I gotta have this format. That is the player I bought. Now, this was published by Pack-In Video. Originally, I thought that might have meant that it came with the player, because on the back it says Mount Light Home Video. But the seller told me that no, actually, Pack-In Video is a video label in Japan. And so, I mean, that makes sense. There are plenty of releases here in various formats that have more than one home video logo on them. 2, maybe even 3. This is copyright 1985, Oakwind Productions, Mount Light Corporation. Artwork copyright 1985, Oakwind Productions Incorporated, Paramount Pictures, Laurel Day Incorporated, Laurel Show Incorporated, Maniac Productions. Laurel is the company that produced Tales from the Dark Side. Anyway, until next time, stay awesome. What C-band has is that it's susceptible to sunspot interference, but that's rare. Weather does not affect C-band. KU band, the dishes are a lot smaller. If you've got Dish Network, for example, it operates on the KU band. Now, on your receiver that you would have in your home, if the signal starts to go weak for whatever. Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another video. In the video that I uploaded yesterday, I mentioned that I received 2 packages in the mail while I was attempting to do that video. One, a smallish package that I received from somebody here in the US, and the other, a rather large and heavy package that I had received from Japan. So I thought in this video I'd go over what I received. No reason. It just disappears. Loss of signal. But in broadcasting, the receivers are such that that doesn't happen. Gradually, the picture will begin to fade, and you'll get what looks like horizontal rain in the video. Rain fade is what we called it. Well, whenever a piece of information that I had in my head would just fly out of my head, and I would be, I coined the term brain fade. Well, get to this. This is a game for the Sega Master System. It's a really hard game to come by. I had done a video on some PAL games that I had recently received. A friend of mine here on YouTube, Larry Bundy Jr., aka Guru Larry, aka the YouTuber formerly known as Screw Attack Europe. Now, as for the small package, I opened it up and immediately brain fade. That's a term I coined at the third television station I worked for. We used satellite systems that operated on 2 different bands. C-band, which are those enormous dishes, huge dishes. The only problem